Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, a podcast where James Bale, that guy, talks to this guy, Tim Ford, about the sport of triathlon. I've already introduced this, so James, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good mate. Good mate. Welcome to another week of triathlon insight and news. Yeah, I'm up for it. I'm up for it. How are you, man?
Very well. And before we get into that specifically, I would encourage everybody who is not watching us on YouTube this week to tune in just to see what is potentially the prettiest background I think James Bale has ever had when we've recorded a podcast. I mean, a lot of you are probably training or running or riding while you listen to this. I'll paint you a word picture. It's got some beautiful trees in the background. The sun is slowly rising over his shoulder. He has a beautiful floral shirt on, and you can see the houses in the background. There's a cat next to him as I speak, has just popped up. So it's all happening for James Bell. So definitely go check it out on youtube.com/, talking triathlon, I think is I actually don't know what our handle is, but yeah, no, James, thank you for asking. I'm very well, thank you, good sir. It has been a fun weekend of triathlon viewing with Supertri back, which I enjoyed a lot, and other things have happened. One of the things that did happen last week after we recorded, which we'll obviously talk about this week, was Challenge Roth released the race ranger data. I was on the what would you call it, the Zoom call where they sort of went through the information and everything. So I have a bit of stuff to talk through about that, but we'll get into the nuts and bolts or the grit or the detail about that. But you are obviously not in
No, no,
where do you live? Devon.
I'm getting a little bit of decided to have a little bit of chill time in the countryside, so getting a bit of me time, which is nice. And yeah, looking forward to going through the race ranger data, mate. I think that's going to be a very interesting discussion this week. Um, what's been going on with training wise for you? Are you feeling fit and healthy at the moment?
Unfortunately, since I got back from Europe, I don't know. Yeah, have you ever gotten off a plane or a long flight and then your calves are like really tight? Have you ever
Oh
ever?
yeah, yeah.
So
That's that. All your it's that deep vein thrombosis thing, innit? No, not that you've
yes.
got deep vein thrombosis, but it's that. It's how that happens.
Yeah, so after I got back, because the reason I ran the marathon last year is my planner finally went away. But since I've gotten off the flight, I've noticed it's just a little iffy. So I've had to cut back I'm still running. I ran yesterday and stuff, but I had to cut it back because I don't want it to turn into a whole thing again. So yeah, not doing heaps of running at the moment. But like I said, every week is getting better. I'm I was meant to race in Norway a few weeks ago. I'm now looking at a race in January, the day before I turn 40, in New Zealand, the Tauranga Half, it's
Nice.
probably my favorite race in the world actually. So looking to do that, and then turn the attention to next year. But a few marathons, half marathons, and some shorter distance triathlons at the back end of this year as well, hopefully. So yeah, training is going okay. How about you? How's the running? How's everything?
Yeah, really good, mate. It's like I said, I've said a few times now that I've come off this 5 years of medication. I feel like a new man. It's like I've had moments where I felt okay in that period, but I have never got to this stage where I actually feel like I'm making real forward progress. I feel like I'm in my mid-20s again, so it's good. It's good. Just keep moving forward and keep running and loving it.
Well, look, I'm really glad to hear that you feel like you're in your mid-20s, but I have seen photos of you when you were in your mid-20s, and unfortunately, you're not quite there yet. There's a little less hair than there was back then, but I'm very happy to hear it anyway. The question though that I want to understand, I need to understand, I'm hoping you can fill me in, is has it arrived yet?
No, it has not. It's heavily debatable whether that's actually going to get worn at the T100 London.
Someone's wearing it. It's you or someone else. So
Firstly because I'm not doing the race, the big race. I'm not doing the triathlon. I'm only doing the 5K in a relay.
yeah,
So you're only running. You don't need to wear. Who turns up to just a run race wearing a tri suit?
I'm going to stop you and I'm going to say, you know the answer to this question already, James. The answer is a triathlete. Now,
I think maybe because Lewis is doing the swim, maybe he should wear the tri suit.
Now, I was going to say, because while we're on the topic of people who would, I know one of our listeners. Now, this is a topic that, or maybe a fact that a lot of people don't actually know about this guy. In 2021, he won the WTCS world title. He also won an Olympic gold medal that year. And technically that year, but it was the next year, he also won the Ironman world title while it was in St. George. Now, his name is Christian Blumenfeld. And he has done I have seen he has a YouTube video where he races a 5K. And what is he wearing? He's wearing his tri suit. So the reason you wear the white tri suit, James Bale, is because of Christian Blumenfeld's white tri suit. So I think the fact that Christian wears a white tri suit is good enough reason for you to wear the white tri suit. What do you reckon? That's the
If
argument.
in a hypothetical world, if there was a moment where I was going to wear a white tri-suit in a 5K run race only, I would put a t-shirt over the top of it.
No, you
Just
can't. Not.
just just to clarify.
But
But
it's not
no,
like
it's unlikely. I might give it to Lewis to do the swimming.
Christian Blumenfeld. I know you listen. I know you listen, mate. And I know you appreciate that I point out and remind the whole world that you won that 2021 world title. Please message James Bale and you as well as all of our listeners. So those of you who don't have his phone number, which hopefully is all of you, you can message him on Instagram. He is at bale.james85 on Instagram. Send him a DM. Uh, James has to wear. I'm going to put up a poll on the Talking Triathlon Instagram after we record this week, and I'm going to see what people think. I'll also point out that when Christian bullied me at the Bahrain 70.3 a few years ago, he was doing the relay. He still wore a tri suit. So the precedent has well and truly been set. I'm not
The
asking you to
people
wear.
can think
I'm
what
not
they
asking
want.
you to wear calf socks, James. That would be a bridge too far. If you keep pushing your luck, that might become the request. So be careful.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Well, let's see how that poll goes, eh?
Let's
And
see.
get some engagement around that, and then we'll see what happens on the day. I may just take it with me and give it to somebody as a little present.
Accidentally lose it. Guys,
Yeah.
if you want to get access to James Bale's phone number, I guess indirectly, it's a weird segue, and join the WhatsApp group that he's in and bully him about the white tri-suit, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon, where you can be part of the action. We have to record a bonus episode, which we will do any day now. There's just a few things that have been going on, but that is definitely coming down the pipeline hot and fast. You also get Strava, WhatsApp groups, we chat through races. It was actually really interesting to see it light up last week after what we are about to talk through was released. And that is, of course, Jimbo, that Challenge Roth has released their Race Ranger information.
Yes, they have indeed, which is really an interesting insight to how the Race Ranger collects data. And it's when you're watching the race and you see the lights going on and off, you kind of think about it like a warning, don't you? Like get out of that draft zone. And you don't, I hadn't considered the accumulation of that data and what it would look like when it was written down. And so when I think Andy sent it to me first, um, when I saw it come out, it was really quite interesting. It's like a little insight into the soul of the race. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can actually, yeah, definitely. And so again, as I said earlier, I was on the call where they released it. So we had the team from Challenge Roth, we had the James from Race Ranger, and then a bunch of other like media people on this call where they talked through. And it was very fascinating, I think, to hear the way that the information was presented. So at first, they were very proud of the fact that there was such low levels of drafting. I think they'd said that from the data they had last year compared to this, because I think they had it there as well last year. There was like a decrease in the overall amount of time spent drafting. But it was also really funny because at the same time that the call was happening, I had Joe Skipper on WhatsApp with me because he knew what I was doing. He's like, oh, I'm going to look so bad because every time we'd come into a corner, I was on someone's wheel. He's like, mate, I'm going to look like the biggest drafter ever. And turned out that was not the case at all. Now, have you got the actual
Absolutely not
information?
the case. Yeah, I have. I mean, Joe Skipper's only got 118 of drafting shown, which is, and when we say drafting, I think we've got to contextualize this
Yeah,
with
that's
it's
true.
very easy it's very easy to look at that number and think, well, he was drafting for a minute 18. He wasn't. What an athlete does is dip in and out. And like I said at the start, I preface this with it's a warning. And if you get that warning and you back off, then that's enough to satisfy the conditions of the racing. It's when you get that warning and you stay in it for a prolonged period of time. That's the point where you face a problem on course. So over the course of an iron distance race, dipping in and out of that warning zone, getting the warning and backing off for 1 minute 18 is is not too bad, especially when you're making your way up through the field. I've seen articles where they say, at the front of the field it was very fair. Jonas Schomburg, Sam Laidlow, they recorded exactly 0 seconds of drafting. It's much easier. I will also caveat that with it's much easier when you're at the front of the field leading the race and you're not in a pace line, for example, and you're not making your way up through the field to not dip in and out of that. So I also don't think that shows us very much either, because being proud of the guy at the front not drafting is like, well, what? Who's he going to
Some
draft off?
some extra context as well that was explained, and I believe it's in the articles as well. But there were certain areas on the course where they have not stored or recorded the information from, which was basically the four significant climbs. I think it was four. So a hill like Solerberg, where it's not possible. Firstly, for they can't have the marshals on that part of the course, but it's also it slows down so much. So like that information is also restricted. And then you were talking about the ability to go into the draft zone. That's also factored in. So the other big caveat that they had that they wanted to make clear, and we're probably going to instantly break it, but I still think it's worth explaining, was that they said that this isn't intended to be a witch hunt, right? They think that this actually shows very, very fair racing, and I tend to agree. So it isn't about, I mean, I know I've seen a lot of the stuff online where people have pointed out certain athletes who have, got bigger times than others and things like that. But I guess the idea to say is uh, they believe this is like an indication that the race is pretty fair, and I think so. To be honest, like, 180K. If you look at it as an actual percentage of the total time, we're talking very small percentages that are made up from many many small sections or over time. Which is again worth just giving some context. Some other interesting things before we get into the actual specifics is they opened it up to questions at the end, and the questions that I specifically asked or that I was curious about is firstly, after what we saw happen in Hamburg, was it Frankfurt, like a couple of weeks earlier? Remember there was all it was the Magnus refereeing decision, there was the Christian Hogenhag refereeing decision. You know, Germany has a reputation of being very strict with their rules, and they said that once the race is over, that's it. They're not expecting this information to apply and change any results. But
No, no.
I asked, would you in a situation like let's have a hypothetical. We're not necessarily talking about this race, but in the future, if you have a race where you've got this information, it says Sam Laidlow 0 minutes drafting, yet in the race he had gotten a drafting penalty. Would they have, if he had have appealed that? You know how you're allowed to, you can still finish the race and you can appeal. I said, if he had have done that, would he have been able to use this information as proof that he wasn't actually drafting? And they said no, that they wouldn't have allowed him or an athlete to rely on this information basically as part of the appeals process, which I found curious, I suppose. And the way I kind of understood it was there's a GPS imprint every time an athlete does enter the draft zone, but it is not accurate enough to be able to cross-check it against where the potential drafting penalty was given. So I still think that there's like this is great, and I can understand the in-race application. Yep, it's very good for the athletes to see it. But at this point in time, I don't actually see a real practical implication on the marshalling or the officiating of a race, if that makes sense.
No. I think it's a really interesting talking point after the race. I mean, I'm looking at this spreadsheet, and you've got the total illegal time, which is the cumulative amount of time spent dipping in and out of that zone, and then
Hmm.
you've got single longest illegal follow time.
Yeah,
Now, I'm interpreting that as that's the longest amount of
continuous.
time someone spent constantly in that red zone without backing off, because that's a more interesting data field to me than the cumulative one.
I agree. I agree.
And
There's
Henry
been some naughty
Schumann,
boys. There's been some
Henry
naughty boys.
Schumann spent 1 minute 27 in the
No, no,
red
no, no,
zone
no, no,
without
no, no.
without backing off.
That's Vincent Liu who was behind Henry Schumann for 1 minute 27.
Is it? No, but it's how come it's in line with Henry Schumann's?
Up number five. Is that where you're looking?
No, number seven.
What?
Henry's.
Down
I've
there.
got
Where's
single
Henry?
longest illegal
Oh, you've
follow
gone down
time.
there. Okay. Yeah, let me have a
Number
look.
seven, Henry
No, his
Schumann,
mate,
127.
I hate to tell you, he's you're looking at the top, which is next to Vincent Louis' name. Henry Schumann has 1 minute 39. That's the single longest follow
No,
time.
no. Are we looking at different things?
I'm looking at the Race Ranger data right now, and it's got
Yeah, yeah. So am I.
so, and at the top, yes, I understand it's Henry Schuman's name next to the 1 minute 27, but if you
Yeah.
look, that's the single longest illegal follow athlete. So that's who Vincent Louis was following for 1 minute 27.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, okay. I get you now.
So you got to go all the way to the left to see the athlete that it applies to.
Oh, right. Okay. So it works like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, sorry. Yeah, I've totally misread that then. Sorry, Henry.
No, no, Henry was
So
worse. Henry was one
Vince
minute
Louis,
39.
total illegal time 9:35,
Yes.
and then what does favorite wheel illegal time mean?
So that's the amount of time he spent on the wheel of his favorite, like the favorite athlete he followed.
Right.
That's how
Okay.
much.
6:12. So that's cumulatively, and
Yes.
then his okay. So this single elite. So Vince Louis cumulatively spent 6:12 in Henry Schuman's draft zone, and the
Yes.
longest amount of time he spent in his draft zone was 1 minute 27. Oof, mate,
From a
Vince.
total of 936 drafting. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So where is Henry then? Let's check
Henry's
it
a
out.
little
So he's
further
down in
down.
44. His cumulative draft time is 11:03. Um, he loved Willie Hurst.
8 minutes behind
Eight
Willie.
8:08, and then he spent 139 cumulatively and 139 total
Oh,
in one
longest.
sitting in his
Longest. Yeah.
one in total in his draft zone. So Henry, I think, is the long. No, no,
No, no, no, no.
Timo Scaffold.
Yeah. No.
22 minutes
Chris
25.
Dells was the longest, I think,
Where's that?
behind
Where's that?
Timo Scaffold. Again, you're looking at the wrong column, mate.
No, I'm not. I'm looking at the right comment.
So,
Tim Scaffold.
yes,
22 minutes cumulatively.
yeah. His single
And
longest
then
follow was 109, and the guy below him was a 141 behind him, if that makes sense.
I'm looking at the cumulative, as in the
Yeah, I know.
total. The biggest cumulative was Timo Scaffold.
Yeah, so I was talking continuous.
Okay, the biggest continuous was not
It
Chris
was
Dells
Timo.
because that's 109. Yeah, Timo looks like he was the continu I had Thomas Schalzer as well, 144.
Yeah.
That's a 144 is a big time to spend in the draft zone.
See, and I
Really red
suppose
light going off.
this is where I sort of wonder. This is where I was what I was getting to, right? And I understand this is a sort of pilot program, not but surely if after a race is over and you can see, okay, yeah, Vincent Louis has spent more than 25 seconds, add 5 minutes to his time. The next guy won for penalty. Like, but again, here's some history for you, and I got this from Chris McCormack's book many years ago. The reason that the Olympics changed short distance racing to draft legal was because they didn't want to have penalties applied after the race, and then positions could change after a race was over. It's why they got rid of drafting in short course, and I think that's where we get to now. Like, it would make racing a little bit crap if you finish the race.
Oh, oh, like, yeah, I'm interested in this as a talking point. Like, once you're off the field of play, I don't think decisions can be made
But
retroactively that would impact the racing. I just think that the draft ranger need to be really on it in the race, and it's a developing technology. It's a developing
well,
reaction and response time, but just be fucking on it in the
see,
race.
have you ever watched biathlon, the ski shooting events they do in the Winter Olympics?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you know how if you miss a shot, you have to do a penalty lap. It's kind of I think that if the technology here exists to track, okay, like let's say it isn't done after the race, but surely at this point they have the ability to compile this information in live time. What if there is just a screen as you come into T2, and if you have spent, and let's say it's 25 seconds is two, so let's put it up to 30 seconds or plus. If you spent more than 30 seconds single continuous follow, your name is there, and guess what, buddy? You're spending however many minutes, but you could. The other thing is you could actually penalize. This is where it gets interesting to me. Is you could suddenly start to make the penalties relevant to the crime. So if you, for example, saw that Vincent Louis spent 1 minute 27 drafting, let's say every 30 seconds you draft, it's a 2 minute penalty. Suddenly he's getting a 6 minute penalty, and somebody who spends 30 seconds drafting gets a 2 minute penalty. Like, you could actually start to do some stuff like that kind of, because then if you're an athlete, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, well, like, it's really not worth it, not only to do it at all, but you're not. going to get away with it at all because you almost don't need the marshals on course a bit. Like I know there's other
Yeah, yeah. No,
penalties.
yeah, absolutely. It would be really interesting if this data was available during the race, like you say, and athletes were flagged in real time and there was a immediate reaction to it. Yeah, the retroactively applying it, I'm not here for
Yeah, okay.
because, you don't want us picking through. I just find it quite amusing, looking at some of these
It's short course guys,
total
isn't it?
times.
It's always the short
Yeah,
course guys
yeah.
who have been a bit
You're like
naughty.
watching your red light go off, and I mean, I you've got to also apply race conditions to it, and you put how
Yeah.
hard you're pushing, how fucked you are, um,
I I do,
because it's not always malicious, is it?
I do love though, because one of the things we've both commented on both on the podcast and privately was like, Jesus, we're impressed by Vincent Louis, like how he's been at T100 with the 20-minute draft zone. He's being spat out the back on the bikes and he did so well to, ride really strong here. And then this comes out, I'm like, okay, I think I understand why that might be the case a little bit. Um, no, the other thing we should talk about is the women's, because the women's field was, I think overall, pretty good. There was two big outliers, Justine Matthew with 9 minutes 19 total, and then the other one I saw was Lisa Marie Domo with 5:36. But a lot of them very Laura Phillip none, Grace Steck 14 seconds, Alana Schiffer 5 seconds, Nikki Bartlett 1 minute 25. Like
Oh,
very low.
Nikki.
That's total time, mate. That's not much at
Yeah, I
all, to
know.
be
Yeah,
honest.
I know. No, yeah. On the women's side, it was much cleaner. And hang on a second, that must be a typo
Why?
because Jana Understadt has got. Oh no, single longest illegal follow. Oh, that's the time of day. I was misreading
Yes,
it. Oh
yes,
God,
yes,
I'm
yes,
so
yes.
bad
That's
at
it.
this. I was
You're
like 10
really
hours.
struggling. I was like, James, I hope your job doesn't involve you written spreadsheets because you seem to be. I've had to correct you about 27 times on this. I know, but like
Yeah.
I think the longest female continual draft was only 39. I mean, I sat only in 39 seconds. So again, compared to, nearly 2 minutes or, well over a minute and a half for the men, I think that again, that naturally, I think will lead to the fact that the women's field wasn't as big, and I mean that by numbers. And what I've come to see, I think, the T100 sort of shows as well is without it, with a limited field size, which is what the women's field is, not huge numbers. The draft, like it, you don't see those packs form. It does seem to be quite hard to have a, compact bike race. So that's probably a big factor as well. And then, I mean, I'm not trying to be unkind, but there's also not race rangers on the amateur males who also can come in and sometimes factor into the women's race a little bit as well.
The
Yeah.
the how does Race Ranger work? Is it two sensors that detect each other?
Yep.
It's not one sensor that detects an object in front of it. So if you're a pro going up through the amateur field, you're not going to get affected race ranger wise by anybody because it doesn't detect a bike if it
Correct.
hasn't got a race ranger on it.
Correct.
Okay.
The other one that I would like to see them do, and I know that the technology isn't functioning yet because of how they work, but I'd also like to see them on motorbikes because I think that's the one thing that we don't, I understand that Roth has certainly made strides in improving the conditions of motorbikes after what happened in Hamburg a couple of years ago, but I still think it would be interesting because, yeah, I think that there's still a factor, and it would be, yeah, just for if if the true aim is a transparency, anything that can provide an assist should have one of these bad
Yeah,
boys on
yeah.
it. I think so.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I'm looking at the women's numbers. That's much more in line with what I would expect for athletes that are just dipping in and out and correcting the problem in real time. Some of the men's numbers are a little bit more spicy.
It is funny, isn't it? Like, yeah, I do. It did make me chuckle a little bit, and it was like, yeah, Vincent Henry, like again, short course boys, spent a long time racing short
Yeah, yeah.
course, and
The
it
old
certainly
Timo
did.
and his 141.
It's like 2 minutes drafting.
Yeah.
It's
I
good.
mean, I don't think back when I was racing triathlon, even I've as an age group had done that.
No,
I don't
never.
think I've ever no. So
I imagine if maybe what they should have is it's like, yeah, it flashes red, and then if after 30 seconds a siren starts going off, and then if after like another 30 seconds it's like, you fucking
what you want
cheat,
is
you
a
fucking cheat.
little electric diode
Saddle.
on the rivet of the saddle. It just puts an electric shock up through your balls if you're spending too long in there.
Yeah, maybe that's the well, it does sit on the saddle, so I'm sure they could work out a way to put some sort of penalty device on there. But then imagine if somebody hacks the system or something and you're just sitting there like
Yeah. Lemon
pushing that button
juice.
all the time.
Just squirt some lemon juice in your eyes. Just
Yeah.
whack.
Well, I think it's really, firstly, I really like that they're doing this. I did find it a lot more interesting than I got invited to the comic. Yeah, yeah, cool. I'll go to that. And then I sat there and I was like, literally, I could see myself on the call. Like my face was so close to the screen because I was like really trying to look at the information and take it all in. And, um, James from Race Ranger, who I think is an absolute legend as well. Yeah, he was asked a lot
Good
of
name.
questions around. It is. I'm not going to call him Jimbo because you are my Jimbo, but they were asked the question about, the application of this in terms of amateur or age group racing, which again, I know isn't really what we cover on this show, but what he was saying is he believes we'll get to a point where you probably have two different fields in a race where it's probably more expensive to enter the, like, let's call it the competitive age group race. And then you get the race ranger. And then there's the other people who just want to finish a race. They're not
Yeah.
super worried.
I
And I'm
was
like, yeah, that works, I
I
think.
I was gonna say like really because there's going to be a huge cost associated with putting Race Ranger in amateur races. That cost is simply going to get passed on to the consumer. And there are many, many people out there who are looking to complete a triathlon which don't want the barrier to entry to rise any more than it already
Hey,
is.
yeah. How we will not name the race, but I was considering entering a race later in the year in the Middle East, and the entry was nearly 800 Australian dollars for not even a 70.3 distance, and I was like, you have got to be joking. There's no way. Like it was, yeah. Maybe I'm getting old. I was like, back in my day, it used to cost $350 to do a
Yeah,
70.3.
I found myself saying that kind of thing quite a lot recently.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
It is pricey. It is a pricey world, and you make it more expensive by adding technology that for 99% of the people racing it, it won't apply to or it'll be needed by. Yeah, you don't want to start making it costly.
still, I appreciate that it's there. I enjoyed it, and I do look forward to seeing the implications of this or the use case in live, like in real time, rather than it being like, yeah, it's a cool thing to see after the fact and pat us all, pat everybody on the back. I think it is something I can't wait to see them actually implement. And again, I want to shout out Challenge Family. This is a very progressive step, I think. And yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to Race Ranger and the athletes for all agreeing to it. So well done, everybody. Jimbo, what do you want to talk about next?
Do you have a word about Leeds?
Ironman Leeds. I suppose we can talk about Ironman Leeds. Now, it is worth explaining at the start this was not a pro series race, which means it was not broadcast. There was only the tracker, and I didn't particularly track it because it was through the night. But Jimbo, I'm sure you've got some information there for me. What have you got?
Yeah, Ironman Leeds. It was a pro men only race, and like you say, it wasn't a pro series race. So there wasn't the broadcast, there wasn't the big song and dance about it, but it did look like a beautiful course. And Leeds is a stunning place in the grim north of the UK. Sam Laidlow won it in 8:10:08. Nathan Gibert from France won it. Came second. He didn't win it as well. He came second in
Who?
8:24:43. Gubert,
Beautiful.
Gu Gubert,
Beautiful.
Gu
Beautiful.
Gubert.
I would have
Harry
said Gerber.
Palmer. Harry Palmer in, I mean, I'm guessing he probably pronounces it very different to that. Harry Palmer in third in 8:28:42. Kieran Linders in fourth in 8:33:38. And John Lewis in fifth in 8:35:53. Um, it was a fairly simple race for Sam Laidlow. Just went and did his thing, got his qualification for Nice. So not Nice, yes, Nice. In Nice, God, what's wrong with my brain today? Got his qualification for Nice, so we'll be on the start line in Nice and executed fairly clinically to win the race by 14 minutes, give or take.
Not bad for a guy who's training 10 hours a week, right? Like, and did an Ironman 3 weeks ago.
I think it's the new way, isn't it? Is to train hardly at all and just rock up and dominate.
Yeah, like again, the fact that this is just a race he just needs to finish to ratify his spot already. So to go out and win by 15 minutes, and like yes, okay, some of these guys are like Harry Palmer is his first Ironman. Harry Palmer's really going from strength to strength at the moment. It was just a complete decimation, really. And you have to think that, he wasn't going super hard because he is just trying to ratify. Um, Mate, again, the plot thickens for Nice. That is for damn sure. Like, he's gone from being the guy that's struggling to get on the start list this year, even contemplating taking the whole year off, to just putting together two extremely impressive performances off, what if it is to be believed, then I don't know why it wouldn't. Almost no training. A super rough start to the year. Imagine what we'd be seeing if he hadn't have had the rough start to the year. Imagine if he had have not gotten so knocked around in Kona, and it's diabolical, to be honest, to actually consider.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his ability to. I mean, look, it's a good thing, isn't it? If someone's been really sick and really struggling, then it looks like he's managed to turn that corner. So we just have to say that is a good thing for his health and his well-being and
Yeah.
his mental health as well.
It's just like even interesting to me because let's look at Sam versus somebody like Magnus, right? Magnus who finished second in Kona, second,
Yeah.
third on the podium in Kona. And then I think he's sort of been building. This year decided to opt out of the T100, was going to focus on the Pro Series. Won the South Africa race, and then we've sort of seen him stumble several times, and he's just like kind of gone MIA recently. And I think we're probably not going to see him until Nice now. Compared to Sam, who had a really bad race in Hawaii, hasn't really done anything since, has sort of crept out slowly, and suddenly it's like it's a very different tale of both of them. So again, it does just add I think I'm excited. I wanted to see Sam Laidlow in good form for Nice after what he did last year, and I'm fascinated by the potential for him to race Christian Blumenfeld and those boys in form, hopefully. So that'll be good. The other thing just though is I would like to have a chat with you about Leeds itself because I know firsthand that there are a few athletes that were not very happy with the course that was selected, and I know that there's some athletes who actually chose not to race the race because of the course and the potential safety concerns. Now, I'm not sure if you've spoken to anybody. Have you heard anything about this?
I have not, no. This is news to me.
So, three-lap bike course, very narrow in points. Like so narrow, they said that you couldn't even fit, like a car would struggle to fit through in some parts. And then you got these pro guys who are potentially coming through pretty quickly. Um, I heard this and I was like, wow, okay. And it just sounds like it wasn't necessarily for a return to Ironman racing in the UK. I think probably, yeah, I don't know, maybe I expected a bit more. So to hear that a lot about 13 athletes finished this race, mate. Every other start list we see this year's got 50, 60, 70 pro men on it. And for this one to have such low numbers, I think something has to be up with it. Yeah, I don't know. What's going on
Yeah,
with Ironman in the UK?
I mean, country lanes in the UK are a little narrow. I think it would, when someone says struggle to get a car down it, is that coming from someone who doesn't understand the UK and lanes and stuff? And I mean, who's saying that there'd be lanes that would struggle to get a car down it? Because
I'll
as
fill
a
you in
man that
off
lives
off
in
the
Devon,
microphone.
we have many small narrow lanes that you can easily get cars and tractors and things down. I'd be less concerned about width of roads than I'd be more concerned about road condition. If the roads were in poor condition, potholes and things like that, then that would be a worry for me. Um, as long as you're racing on lanes with a good road condition, then and the course is well marshaled and barriered off, and you're not going to have other cars coming up those lanes, then I don't see too much of a problem.
Okay. I just think you look at somewhere like Swansea, where you were recently, that used to have an Ironman there. Or was it? Was actually, I say that. That's not where
Tenby.
Ironman Wales was.
No, yeah, no, it's
Is that
Ironman
close
Wells
by?
is in Tenby. Yeah, it's nearby, but it's not the same place.
Bring that one back. Bring that one back. Put the 70.3 in Leeds.
I mean, Ironman Tenby still exists.
Does it?
Yeah,
Not for pros.
not
Oh,
for
it's a yeah,
no, it's
female
not a
pro.
pro
Sorry,
race.
female only this year. It's female only, I
Okay,
think.
yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Or was
yeah.
it that? Or was that last year? I don't know. God, we're so informed on a podcast where we're trying to inform others. Let's just move on from that so we don't look like any worse than we already do. Do you want to talk about Supertri?
Yeah, mate. Now, Supertri, as you know, I had a fairly busy weekend this weekend, so I didn't actually get to watch Supertri. You, however, our number one Supertri super fan.
Yeah.
So take us through it, mate. What happened?
Supertri Toronto happened. First time we've seen Supertri's main series in Canada. I know that they've been there before in Ottawa. I was actually at that event a couple of years ago when remember they used to do the qualifier races. Uh,
Yeah.
so I went to that one in Ottawa. Actually, one of the best triathlon weekends I've ever had. I loved being in Ottawa for that race. Toronto though was a interesting course. It was a break from what we've seen the back-to-back-to-back racing back to the eliminator format where you have the three triathlons with a 6 minute break in between each one. And this course was not necessarily the most entertaining. It was quite North American races are all kind of the same, right? It's wide streets, longer, sweeping, like, good for speed, but not like something we're going to see in Jersey in a couple of weeks or we've seen in Toulouse and
Yeah.
those sort of courses. Had an interesting little wrinkle where you come out of the swim and then you had to put shoes on to run up a set of stairs, very steep set of stairs to cross a major road and get back down to where transition actually was, which surprisingly actually caused a fair bit of carnage. It was probably one of the highlights of the race was watching the athletes hustle and bustle trying to get up the stairs, and there was a bit of argy-bargy and
Did you
stuff happening.
have to put shoes
Had
on,
to.
or
Had
could
to
you
put
go?
shoes
Okay,
on. It
so
was
you couldn't
mandatory.
choose to do that barefoot.
No. So, and then, yeah, so that's basically what happened in the women's. And can you get the actual results? I can say them, I think, off the top of my head, but it
So in the
seemed like,
women, sorry, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it seemed like at the start, like Crown Racing, the team that I helped recruit for this year on paper in the women's race in particular was very strong. Like looking at it, you sort of struggle to think that they would not dominate. And that's not what happened. Like very quickly, like that first race, very quickly, Crown were on the back foot. I think all four of their women, except for maybe Emma Jeffcoat, was pretty far back, and you had a lot of the Brownlee racing women and the podium and everyone else sort of up ahead, and it just sort of whittled down. And again, the Crown Racing, ladies came through. Emma Jeffcoat got eliminated, I think, after the second round, but we got set up with this really interesting dynamic in the final because the final is a pursuit start where you have the gaps based on how long behind the finisher they've finished. And the second or the last triathlon, instead of being a 1 lap 800-meter run, was double, so it was a nearly 2 kilometer run. And yeah, it was just it's set up for a really interesting race. Do you want to go through the results when we can talk about how that last race unfolded?
Yeah, so on the women's side, Julian
Vermeulen.
Vermeulen won the race with Leonie Perrault in second, Cassandre Beaugrand in third, Emma Lombardi in fourth, and Jehan Lahair in fifth. On the men's side, it was Alex Yee in first, Songor Lehmann in second, Vasco Velasa in third, Alberto Gonzalez Garcia in fourth, and John Reed in fifth.
Yeah,
As
so
things stand, before you get into it, as things stand, the league results are Crown Racing are leading, with Brownlee Racing in second, Podium Racing in third, and Stars and Stripes Racing in fourth.
yeah, in the last round where there was, like I said, this pursuit sort of start, Cassandra Beaugrand wasn't the first one to take off. I can't remember the exact order, but it was a bit of a sort of, little bit of gap, little sort of gaps forming. And when they got into T2 for the run in the final leg, Cassandra wasn't first off the bike. Again, there was this sort of gap. So with Vermeulen and Leonie Perrier, who Leonie was looking so consistent, both of these women were looking really, really great. And probably halfway through that first lap, Cassandra just put the foot down. She just went kaboom. And you're thinking, Jesus, like she's really like, if this is just Cass sort of building into the run or whatever, it's game over. And then we get to the end of the lap, and suddenly Cassandra starts going backwards. And the two women behind her catch her, pass her, and gap her. So suddenly you're like, what the hell has happened to Cassandra Beaugrand? Like she's just gone from putting 10 meters into them to suddenly going backwards. And it turned out after the race, she didn't realize it was a 2 lap last run. She thought it was only a 1 lap run. So she put in this surge to try to win the race, gets to the finish line. They're like, no, 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 you've got to do another
Oh,
lap.
oh, oh, mate. Imagine it.
Imagine.
Imagine that moment.
Yeah, so a little bit of a stumble there from Cass. So Cass finished third, and then sort of after it was apparent that Cassandra wasn't going to win the race, Vermeulen just put this dig in, and Leonie couldn't go with her. And I mean, what an impressive performance from Jolene Vermeulen, who has
Yeah.
like we spoke about, I know we did the bonus episode where we were sort of picking our crown race or, our Supertri team. And I've spoken a little bit about this. She was definitely an athlete that was on my radar for it. I was annoyed that that was an athlete that I couldn't have gotten basically because I thought she was going to be very good this year. I mean, it's very easy for me to say that now, but no, I'm very not surprised to see her. I will admit I didn't expect her to probably beat somebody like Cassandre Beaugrand, but I thought she'd be up there. But I think she's going to be one to watch this season. I think it's going to be, yeah,
Do you
her
think?
inclusion is going to be interesting.
I mean, if Cassandra hadn't mispaced her run quite so badly, I'm assuming we'd have seen her maybe in second or first. It's not like. Do you think this result represents what could have been had Cassandra not mispaced her run?
I don't know. So Cassandra looked off from the first round. Like the first round, she didn't look well. And then there was a moment where in between, I can't remember if it was between the second and third race, they tried to interview her on camera and she was very aggressive. Like she didn't seem, I've watched Cassandra Beaugrand's career for a long time. I've managed the team that she's raced and I've spent time with her as an athlete. And I've always thought that I've always said this a lot where there's this mental component with Cassandra Beaugrand that I think is probably her biggest limiting factor, and it feels like she's overcome it. But from what I saw at this race, it didn't seem like that was the case. Like she seemed frazzled to me. And I don't know, to be honest. Like I don't think she maybe would have won it just because it wasn't like they gapped it barely. Like they put a decent chunk of time into her, and I don't know. Yeah, I will say I don't think she would have won if she had have misjudged the thing. I don't think she necessarily would have won. I think we would have had a very close finish. Maybe she would have had the kick, but I think the way it sort of unfolded, it would have been a very very tight finish because she wouldn't have sprinted up to them the way she did. So she would have had more time to sort of get up to them, and then if they had been consistent and still dug at the end, yeah, I don't know, but I would have liked to have seen it. But yeah, Jean Lahair wasn't probably. I've sort of expected Jean to be the one to watch as well this series. She's doing all the races. She's been very good at WTCS already, and again, she just wasn't really there. And sometimes it takes athletes a few of these
Fifth
races
place
to warm
though.
into it.
Fifth place, 18 seconds off. Uh it's not night and day. I know on this over this short racing it is, but it's not she's in the conversation.
She definitely is. You are 100% correct about that. Uh, Emma Lombardi, it was good to see. We've not seen much of Emma this year. I think she had some health concerns earlier this season, so see her back will be good. I know she's coming back for Jersey. I think she won't be in Chicago. In fact, to be honest, Chicago is going to be a very different race for most teams. I think a lot of athletes won't be at Chicago, so like for Crown Racing, it's almost a completely different team, to be honest, especially the women's. Three, oh no, that's not true. Two different females coming in that are only doing the one round, and then the other men's. We found out one of our athletes may not be racing today, so now I'm manically trying to source a fourth athlete, which is horrific. Yeah, so Chicago benches, but that's the women's race. The men's race was a bit more what you'd expect. Alexi back to doing what Alexi does,
Yeah.
and what I've found probably a little disappointing, if you want to put it that way, is I really felt like the teams worked out how to combat Alex here last season. Don't give him space in the swim, crowd him, make him uncomfortable. Don't help him on the bike, and the gap's too big. Having said that, there's a few different factors to add. There's no Hayden Wild pushing the pace. There's no Vincent Louis pushing the pace this year, and there's nobody really bothering Alex. So Alex just basically got to do what Alex does. It was a pretty The men's race was a bit bland, to be honest. Like there was no real.
Yeah, a little bit by the numbers.
Yeah, do you have that? So it was, if I'm correct, it was Alexi in first, it was Songa Lehman in second, and Vasco Velasa in third. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. And then Alberto Gonzalez Garcia and then John Reed in fifth.
We don't say Alberto's name on this podcast because he dogged me. He was meant to race for Crown Race and then he went and signed with another team without telling me. I was very upset with
There
him.
you go. There you
Bloody
go.
Alberto.
You were just part of his negotiations, mate.
I was for some. There was one athlete on another team that's literally what I was. But no, I think again, I've spoken to Tyler since the race. He sort of struggled to come down from altitude, and I said to him, I think his problem was he just sat too far back on the bike, so that then the groups would sort of break and he's behind. And there was a point I think he ran past Chase McQueen. Now he was moving, but he was very close to getting the fastest run. But I said, mate, you need to be with that group off the bike. Otherwise, the runs are so short, it doesn't matter. You could be Usain Bolt and you're going to struggle to make up the gap. So, uh, yeah, the women's race was definitely the pick of them for me. But I do think as well, it was really great to see Alex Yee back racing. I love seeing Alex Yee doing a triathlon and winning, so that was good.
Yeah, I think it is good to see Alex Yee back racing. It's as much as the race on the men's side was paint by numbers results wise, sometimes it's just good to see a good athlete doing what they do well and executing. And like you say, there's been a change of names, a change of lineup. You haven't got some of the athletes that know how to decode an Alex Yee race here, so they're going to have to learn how to do it again, and that's going to be an interesting journey to watch develop. Cassandre Beaugrand on the women's side, that's quite amusing. I didn't know that she'd miscounted her run, and that must have been a moment where you're just like, oh, what, I've got to go again. He's shitting me. I've just burnt every match I've got
Yeah.
to try and get to this line first. So yeah, that's quite amusing. I mean, it does look from someone who didn't actually watch the race, it looks like the women's race was much more exciting and much more interesting.
One thing of note that I didn't say, do you know who the first male athlete eliminated was?
Johnny Brownlee.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is
brutal.
it could be an anomaly, but it's not a good sign, is it, for things to come?
Yeah, no, it was a bit brutal to be honest. I saw that, I was like, oh, that poor bugger. All right, the next thing
Yeah.
to talk about is T100 French Riviera. We're not going to talk about London this week. We're going to talk about French Riviera because the start list has come out. Jimbo, I know there's a few names that you're happy to see on it, and I think there's a few names that I'm quite happy to see on it as well.
Yes, it's bear with me. Let's have a look at
I've got it if you
the
want.
elite. No, I've got it right here as well. Yeah, it's looking like an interesting start list. I love seeing these start lists start to come out. T100 French Riviera is going to be a gorgeous race in a beautiful part of the world, a race that I intend to be at if I can.
Will you race it in a white
And
tri suit with your face all over it?
I've got an entry, but
Oh,
due
yes.
to life's complications at the moment, I might have to. They've said I can move it to any of the other T100 races next year, so I might move it to a different one.
We'll just keep that tri suit ready because otherwise I'll
Oh
have to
man,
be designing a third one.
that tri suit's always ready. Can I not just have a nice tri suit, a
I've told you I
black one
will. You have to wear this one
with the
first.
T100
Yeah, yeah.
with the
Then
T100 logo,
talking triathlon.
Talking
Yes,
Triathlon logo on it?
I
Yeah,
will. I will do that for you, but to
just want
earn
a
it,
nice tri suit. Yeah,
no, I promise you, if you wear this
because
white tri suit for
they
me,
make really nice tri
yeah,
suits.
mate,
Really nice. They're
I'll get
lovely.
you, I'll get you the nicest tri suit. I will design a tri suit for you, and you will want to wear. Like you will, it won't be a case of I'm only doing a 5K run. I wouldn't dare. You'd be like, fuck this. I'm looking for 5K
Yeah.
runs to wear my tri suit at. Like that's what it's
Yeah,
gonna look
yeah,
like.
like a black one with the Talking Triathlon logo in like pink or something.
Hey,
It'd just be
and what I'll
be right
also
up my
do is
street.
I'll even subtly suggest muscle. So like if people you know like a superhero costume, so people wear it, it's like, geez, that's not only slimming, but he looks in really good shape. Like I'll do all of that
I
for you,
don't.
mate. So
I'm not sure. I'm keen on this subtle idea. Why not a muscle suit? Just
well,
an all
you
out.
can I can't get that sewed into the tri suit. That wouldn't be very aerodynamic. But if you choose to wear a muscle suit under your tri suit, mate, who am I to stop you? So anyway, T100 French Riviera. The start list.
We got
Again, shout
um.
out to Tripole Athlete again, yet again, for doing the Lord's work for us so that we don't have to work out who isn't on the start list. I think it is the
Yeah, yeah.
single best
Hang
thing
on a
they've done.
second. Also, I got a bone to pick with that. Last week, last week, I think I gave Tripole a shout out and said how impressed I was with the work they're doing. And then on their Instagram story, it was like, "Thanks for the shout out, Tim." So hang on a second. It
Well,
was me.
I messaged them on Instagram and said we gave you a shout out. So they probably didn't listen. It just went, oh,
Probably
thanks.
didn't listen. Yeah, just assumed. Yeah, 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 yeah. Anyway, start list.
You're
Taylor
welcome.
Spivey, Lisa Petier, Marta Sanchez Hernandez, Daniela Kleiser, Kate Woff, Flora Duffy, Julie Deron, Lizzie Rayner, Laura Madsen, Paula Finley, Ellie Salthouse, Hannah Berry, Ashley Gentle, India Lee, Lucy Charles-Barclay, Els Visser, Lucy Byram, Jessica Learmonth, Caroline Pole, and Grace Thek. I love that start list, mate. That is a strong start list.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Emma Pallant Brown is out because she's pregnant. Imogen Simmons is out because of we know why. So to see only Taylor Knibb missing off this start list, it's probably the closest to a full start list we've seen this year. That's a huge call to make when I don't actually know. But I get it, right? If you're going to go for an all expenses paid race somewhere, you would probably want to go to the the French Riviera for it. I mean, you're even talking about going, mate. So must be a pretty good spot. But you're right. It's an absolutely brilliant start list. I'm really who is the athlete this year that you see their name on a start list and you get more excited because they're like female because they're on the start list. We're probably gonna have the same answer here.
Yeah, I mean there are a few in here who make me go brilliant. They're in this. I'm glad they're in this race. I think Jess Learmonth comes to top of mind.
That's
I
my
just
answer.
think
Yeah,
the
same.
way she's going up through the gears, I just whether she's got enough yet to finish off a race with a win, I don't know.
She
But
will.
every time she races, yeah, she's getting better. She's getting better.
Yeah, I
And
know what you mean.
And even if she finishes third, second, fourth, fifth, she still has a huge impact on that race because of her powerful swim and her powerful bike and her ability to carry that where she's going to finish right until the very end. So I'm really pleased to see her on there. Obviously, Kate Woff is another interesting name because she came out and won that race, her debut race.
And she was quite
So I'm
strong in San
always
Francisco as well, which was I'm assuming this is going to have hills in it, so you'd then expect it to be
Yeah,
like
it'll be a rolling course, I assume. Um, India Lee, another name that I'm always pleased to see on a start list because you know that she's got the skills and the ability to really, on her day, win or be on the podium. Lucy Charles-Barclay, very keen to see how she goes. Just intrigued with where Lucy is.
come on, mate. There's one name that I'm actually like genuinely surprised you haven't said, and I can't understand why you haven't. And I know you're going to look at it and you're going to get it right the second you realize you haven't said her name.
Very pleased to see Lizzie Rayner on the start list
No,
as
that's
well.
not okay. I'm wrong again. That's not who I was expecting.
Where are you going then?
Ellie Solhouse, mate. I thought you were going
Oh
to
yeah,
say.
of course. Ellie. Like, of course. Ellie always like
I apologize,
there's
Ellie.
a
See, I was aware. I haven't
very
let you
special
down.
place in my
So
heart for Ellie Salthouse.
when
I'm
you
very
thank the
pleased to see her
podcast,
on the start list.
thank Tim. It wasn't James this time. Thank Tim for
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
me the shout. I
But no,
think, yeah, Jess Learmonth to me is definitely the most interesting factor because, as you said, every time she races, she's getting better. And I have this belief that at the end of it, she's going to come good. And I can't wait to see it. The other athlete that you haven't mentioned that I want to see have a good performance here because I know how good an athlete she is. And we've just seen her basically not feature this year at all is Taylor Spivey. I also believe that we're going to see Taylor Spivey work this out and then she's suddenly going to shine because she's such a strong athlete. So that's the other one that I'm quite keen to see. Yeah. Lizzie Rayner. I mean,
yeah,
I was excited. I don't know about you. Obviously, you weren't, but I'm very excited to see Lizzie Rayner
yeah, I
participate.
was. I was. I mean, I know that she's doing her first T100 in London in a couple of weeks, and she's been going up through the gears all season. We've seen her podium at races. We've seen her come second. Um, I am very impressed with the strides she's making in her improvements. So her getting a start at T100 London was the first step towards a really interesting, exciting second half of this season for her. And then to see her on the start line of T100 France, French Riviera as well to back whatever happens in London up. Yeah, I think there's huge scope there for her to be part of this race.
Well, let's talk about the men's now because there's an athlete very similar to what you just explained, but for me on the men's side now. We won't get to it straight away, but let's go to the men's. We've got Sam Long, Peter Heinrich, Mathis Magerier, Leo Berger, Morgan Pearson, Antonio Benito Lopez, Sam Dickinson, Vincent Louis, Harry Palmer, Marten Van Riel, Jelle Geens, Gregory Barnaby, Nicholas Mann, Kyle Smith, Hayden Wild, Jason West, Mika Newt, Rico Bogan, Mino Koolhaas, and Justus Nischlag, with Yuri Kulin and Frederick Funk not participating. Pretty good start list again, mate. Only two names missing, and I think very strong start list again.
Yeah, it is a really strong start list, and it's an interesting start list because you're not quite sure how it's going to go. Um, I'm pleased to see Vince Louis pushing on with his pursuit of the longer kind of racing,
Do you think
and
he
I
will?
think well, you think he'll actually be on the start list?
Yeah, because he's torn his calf, so I can't imagine it's going to be a super quick fix.
That's true. He may be out with injury, but you know he's on the start list, so at the
Yeah,
moment we can assume he's going to race, but we will see with that. Um, it's a shame that we haven't got Van Riel on the list.
he is on the
You know,
list. What
I
are you
think
talking about?
is he? I thought
Yes,
I'd missed him. Where is he? He's not on
under
my
under
list.
Harry Palmer.
Oh yeah, there he is. I got him.
It's not an Excel
Martin Van Riel
spreadsheet,
is on the
Jimbo.
list. Yeah, I can do this. So, I mean, same question back to you that you gave me for the women. So who on this list is the most exciting?
I mean, it's going to be Hayden Wild. Whether he's going to be there, I'm still not. I still have this. Somebody put the comment on our YouTube channel, and I very very reluctantly actually kind of agree. And I pray to all the gods that I'm wrong about this, but I have this fear that we might not see him bounce back quickly. I'll say I think he's definitely capable of getting back, but I just remember seeing that video of him swimming, and it looks so horrific, and thinking that's not something you overcome in a couple of weeks. So if he's back, brilliant. But the name that I was talking about is Harry Palmer, just because I've seen Harry like go from being a YouTuber to suddenly he's getting these results. He's made his Ironman debut recently. He's raced in London, which will be interesting off the back of that Ironman a couple of weeks ago. So to see him on this star list again is really great. The other wild card, Sam Dickinson. I'm really happy to see Sam. He's definitely not going to win the race because he's going to absolutely blow up on the run, but he's going to feature, I think. Like he's that sort of athlete. I feel like potentially maybe an athlete like a Pierre Lecour or somebody would have been a really good addition as a wild card just because it's a French race. And Pierre Lecour has the fastest 70.3 debut in history. So he's clearly good at the distance as well. But there's just so many names there. Sam Long, I'm sort of not that excited about seeing anymore. I think it's time for Sam to maybe start looking towards 2026 a little bit. But again, happy to be wrong. But yeah, there's plenty of talent. Now, just before, I do want to say, and I meant to talk about it earlier, everybody listening to this, James, will know if Hayden Wild is racing in London or not because I think he's put out a statement saying that he's going to make a decision on the 1st of August, which is the day this podcast comes out. Spoiler alert, we've recorded before then. So I wanted to put it to you, a bet. I mean, we could both agree that the same thing, but what do you think? Is Hayden Wild going to race London?
I hope so.
You can hear the emotion in his voice. Like he's tearing up,
Yeah,
guys.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope. I think irrespective of the result, it would be nice to see him just on the start line, showing that he could do it. But whether
Single
or not he'll
tears
be
running
able
down
to,
his face while he's saying this.
I'm choking up for some reason.
Nah, it's all good. I
I don't
don't
know.
think he will. I don't think he
No, I
will.
know you don't. I know you don't. So go on. What's the bet?
That was it. I was just going to say because we don't
Ah,
know, but
okay.
everybody will. So one of us will sound stupid right now because everybody listening will
Yeah.
already know if he's racing or not.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I would love to see him race, and you know, an injury like that is a very difficult one to come back from. I just would wouldn't wish that on anybody, eh?
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. Well, James, we've done it, mate. We survived another week, another podcast done. Thank you for, again, holding back the tears. I know that Hayden is a topic that gets you very emotional, but if people want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, where do they need to go?
Yeah, thanks for listening. If you want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, then you can find us on Patreon. We're at Talking Triathlon / Patreon or something like that. I haven't got the notes in front of me, but just, you know, it's easy enough to find.
Patreon.com
We
/ Talking Triathlon.
There it is. And Tim, if you want to find Tim, he's at T414 on Instagram. I'm at bale.james85 on Instagram. If you join the Patreon group, we will add you to all the social groups. We'll put you in the WhatsApp group if you so wish. It is not an obligation, but it is a recommendation because it's where all the conversations happen. Um, If you are not a patron and you want to comment or engage, then leave a comment on the YouTube channel because that is where you're most likely to get us to respond because we will see it.
Really appreciated the conversations on last week's episode too. So thank you to everybody who
Yeah,
did
yeah.
jump in. I did touch on the fact that we are meant to be recording a bonus episode and we haven't yet. We will provide more context for why that is so patrons will understand. If you're not a patron, the mystery will continue to burn on, but
But it won't
we'll
matter because you
yeah,
don't listen to the bonus episodes
exactly.
anyway. Yeah, yeah.
But no, that's it. So Jimbo, thank you very much. A pleasure as always, guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for liking, subscribing, whatever they say. But we'll be back next week. Cheerio. I said it. That was weird.
Cheerio. Yeah, cheerio.